What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben, and welcome back to another episode here on the bench. Thank you so much for joining us today. And on this episode, we're going to go ahead and announce that we're going to enter into a new group build. This is going to be the VJVE 75th anniversary group build. We are really excited to go ahead and dive in on this one, so I thought I would look through my stash and see what I had to offer that I could build and that I kind of felt like jumping in on. So here we go. Let me go ahead and show you what I've selected. Of all the kits I've got, I wanted to try something Italian. And this kit here, this is a 1/48 scale Fiat G.55, and I'm really excited to go ahead and try this out. It's a special hobby kit, so that means it's not going to be what you would call shake and bake. It's not just going to fall together right out of the box. It's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, but I think if I can pull it off, I'll have a really, really nice looking Italian aircraft. Now, the Italian aircraft from World War II were always kind of interesting looking, and this is one of those that just looks like a thoroughbred to me. It looks really, really cool. Now, this kit gives you 3 different versions you can paint, 3 different color schemes. We have our basic standard dark green over a gray color, and this actually is what I'm kind of leaning towards right now because of the white band and the white cross with all the markings. This is the second version, which is very similar to the first, and then we have a splintered camo version right here, and this is a very famous paint job as well. But I'm probably just going to go for the plain old green over gray because I like the look of that. It's simple, it's clean, so that's what we're going to be trying. Now let's go ahead and open it up and see what the inside has to offer. Now the box itself comes with 1 poly bag of all our parts. We have 1 Ziploc bag for a resin gun sight, and then we have our clear parts, as well as instructions. We have a color printout for all of our paint schemes. And of course, right here, we have our decals, which look great, by the way. And we have some photo etch with those films there for the instrument panels. So we have a lot of good stuff in the kit. But let's go ahead and open up the poly bag though and check out the parts, and we can give you a closer look at what these look like. Now overall, the parts themselves look very well molded. There is a bit of a grainy roughness to the plastic though. As far as I know, Special Hobby produces limited run kits, so I'm not surprised that this is a little bit more on the grainy side, but overall the plastic isn't that bad. Looks very, very nice, lots of finely molded in details. A little bit of flash here and there, but to be honest, for a limited run kit, I'm not exactly that surprised. Again, a little bit of flash here, we can take that off with a jeweler file or X-Acto knife or something like that, so I think nothing I can't handle. Now moving over to the cockpit detail, this is actually a very nicely molded cockpit. We've got a lot of little features here on the side of the cockpit walls. We've got our nice little dials and details. We've got some housings for different levers and whatnot. So this can actually be a very nice looking cockpit, though I think we're going to have to add in some wires. And for that, of course, I'd use some solder, basic solder. Nothing fancy with that, but I'm going to have to go ahead and check my references because I don't know what the cockpit would look like or where the wires would go, but this looks pretty decent. Also, we have a nice floorboard here. This is the bottom of the cockpit floor. We've got a nice little detail there, raised detail for the footwells there for the rudder pedals. So I think we're looking pretty decent. Now, as I mentioned, this is a G.55, but it is a Series 0. So it would have a standard machine guns here up on the top. Those will have to be drilled out. But on the bottom, it actually has 2 more machine guns right here on the sides of the cowling. So that's going to be kind of interesting because they'll also have to be drilled out. And then we'll have to figure out how that oil cooler goes on there as well. Now for the fuselage itself, it looks pretty decent. Again, a little bit of a rough graininess to the plastic, but that can be easily smoothed out with some sandpaper. And we have very nicely molded in details and very nice recessed panel lines. Now on the inside of the fuselage, though, we do have some ejector pin marks like this one right here, which will have to be removed if we hope to get that cockpit installed in there. But overall, that's really the only one I see that's going to be a problem. So there could be some really good potential here with post shading and all of that great stuff with panel line washes. You never know, but I think it could be really, really fun. Now moving over to the wings here, we have a good amount of detail on the inside of the wheel wells. That's awesome. I'm not sure how correct it is. We might have to get into scratch build and some detail in there, but it's actually not too bad. Now one of the issues I do have with the wings though is, as you can see here, we have some molded in details for the shell ejection ports for the wing cannons. Now this is a Series 0, so they wouldn't have those. We're going to have to go ahead and fill up all this detail and all the panel lines associated with that gun. On the top of the wings though, same idea. We have a very nice recessed panel lines. A little bit of roughness on the plastic, but overall not too bad. We are going to have to go ahead and deal with those panel lines here. I'm not sure how much of those get to be retained and how much have to be filled because we're building a Series 0. Now the clear parts in the kit are also one of the other letdowns. Now nothing's wrong with the plastic itself. It's very thin, it's very clear. It's got really nicely molded in ribbing and details, so that's fine. But the problem I have with it is it's all one piece, meaning that if I want to go ahead and display the detail on the inside of the cockpit, we're going to be obscured by a closed canopy. Now, one of the options I have, of course, would be to separate this by using a very fine razor saw and cutting the center section of that canopy out, leaving the windscreen, glue that down, and we could actually have the canopy open. It's a lot of work though. I'm a little bit worried about snapping the canopy because it's very thin. So instead, I'm actually thinking about replacing it with a donor kit. I might be able to just swap those right out, and that should work perfectly. But let's go ahead and put those away for now. I don't want to scuff them up or break them because I'm not really sure what we're going to do with them yet, but we'll do our research and we'll figure it out. Now, on the instructions, these are known to be very simplistic, and they are, but who knows if they're exactly 100% accurate. Now, the inside, we do have all of our part trees, and we have our paint breakouts, and then we have our photo etch, and then our resin piece as well. Now, in terms of paint, we're going to have to do some research on the colors for the internal cockpit. They list a primer color, which I'm not sure what that is, and of course, black on the instrument panels and all of that. A lot of photo etch levers and dials and all that, so that's really cool, but photo etch is always difficult to do, and I might kind of pull back from doing all of them. On the other page, we have more details on the cockpit. The seat boat arrangement here on the G.55, and I believe on most of the Italian aircraft, are very strange. They're almost like torture chamber implements, you know? They've got chains and belts and straps, so I don't know much about that, but I know they have all of these represented in photo etch, which is really nice. We'll have to figure out how that all goes together. The rest of the instruction manual proceeds pretty much normal. We have our engine area with our exhaust ports, propeller, and all that good stuff, so that's fine. Then moving on, we have our basic assembly of the wings and the fuselage with the tailplanes and all that good stuff, getting us all squared away. Then we have some fidgety parts like the landing gears and all of that good stuff there. I do have to question right here in the wheel wells. We actually should have two gun barrels that kind of protrude forward. So we're going to have to figure out how that all goes together because it's very difficult to tell what level of detail are in these parts just from the line drawings. So we're going to have to do a little bit of work there and figure that out. But when we get there. Moving over to the paint guide, that is differently printed than the instructions. This is very glossy. It comes with a brief history of the aircraft. Then, of course, we have our paint callouts and our camo schemes on the inside here. Now, these two are very similar with a dark green over light gray. And this last one here is that crazy splinter camo. I'm going to go ahead and focus on just the basic green over gray because I want to try to some monochromatic finishes and I want to really get good with maybe some pre-shade and post-shade. I just want to try it out. You can do a lot with that, and I think that's going to be more my level than going with that splinter camo. But that's going to go ahead and do it for us today, guys. I just wanted to give you a quick look at the G.55 by Special Hobby. We're going to go ahead and enter this into the 75th anniversary of VJVE Day, hosted by HobbyLink International. Link in the description below. But until then, guys, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. And we'll see you back here on the next episode of the VJVE Group Build. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you soon.